I want to talk to you today about something that weighs heavy on many hearts: worry. We all experience it, don't we? The fear of what's ahead, the uncertainty of tomorrow, the doubts that creep into our minds. But let me remind you, worry doesn't change the outcome. It only steals your peace and robs you of joy in the present. What if I told you there's a way to fight back, a way to overcome worry, not with your own strength, but through faith? Faith doesn't mean we won't face challenges. It doesn't mean we won't have moments of fear or doubt. But it means we know deep down in our spirit that we don't have to face these battles alone. There's a power greater than any obstacle, any fear, any circumstance. And that power is faith in the one who holds it all. When life gets heavy, when worry starts to cloud your vision, remember that you have a choice. You can choose to focus on what you control, or you can choose to trust in the one who controls it all. We've all been through storms, but storms don't last forever. Just like a storm clears and the sun shines again, your worries too shall pass. That worry is one of those things that has the ability to sneak up on us, doesn't it? It can start small, just a passing thought, and before you know it, you're consumed by it. You begin to lose sleep over it, letting it play over and over in your mind like a broken record, convincing you that the worst is going to happen. It can be about your job, your family, your health, your future, or even the things that haven't even happened yet. Worry thrives on the unknown. And once you allow it to take root in your heart, it can feel almost impossible to shake. But here's the thing, worry doesn't have the power to change anything. It doesn't have the power to solve your problems or make anything better. Worry only has the power to rob you of present moment. It steals your peace. And when it does, it makes it harder to focus on what's in front of you. You start living in the future instead of embracing the now. You worry about what could go wrong tomorrow instead of recognizing the blessings you have today. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself worrying about something that never even came to pass? It's easy to get caught up in the worst case scenario, imagining the most disastrous outcome. But more often than not, what we worry about never even materializes. And yet we give it so much space in our minds and hearts. We waste time and energy dwelling on something that has no foundation in reality. Worrying doesn't change the outcome, it only changes your peace. There's a truth that we need to accept, that we can't control everything. We can't control the future, the actions of others, or even the things that happen to us. Life has its ups and downs, its twists and turns, and it's filled with uncertainty. But here's the beauty of it. You don't have to carry that burden alone. When you release the need to control everything, when you stop trying to predict and manipulate every situation, you make room for something far greater to step in faith. Faith is the antidote to worry. Where worry tries to convince you that you're on your own, that you don't have what it takes to face what's ahead, faith reminds you that you don't have to face anything alone. Faith is knowing that there is a greater power at work in your life, a power that sees the bigger picture even when you can't. Faith is not just believing in the good times, but also trusting that even in the midst of the storm, you're not abandoned. That there's a force that is with you, guiding you, strengthening you, and providing for you in ways you can't always see. Worry often comes from a place of fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of making the wrong choice. But faith isn't about having all the answers or knowing how everything will unfold. Faith is about trusting in the one who holds all the answers. It's about surrendering control, not because you're weak, but because you understand that you can't control everything, and that's okay. Faith tells you that no matter what happens, you are held, you are loved, and you're equipped to handle whatever comes your way. The power of faith doesn't just lie in the big moments, it's in the small ones too. It's in the choice you make every day to believe that things will get better, even when things look dark. It's in the moments when you face a challenge and choose not to worry, but instead to trust that you will find a way through. Faith is the courage to step forward even you don't have all the answers. It's the quiet assurance that no matter how hard the journey, you don't have to carry the weight of it alone. Worry tells you that you're not enough, that you can't make it, that things won't work out. It magnifies your weaknesses, your doubts, and your fears, but faith doesn't ignore the reality of the situation. It just chooses to look at it through a different lens. Faith doesn't deny the challenges, but it reminds you that you have the strength, the resilience, and the help of a higher power to navigate through them. Faith says, I may not know what's coming next, but I trust that whatever happens, I will be okay. When you choose faith over worry, you're not ignoring the struggles or pretending everything is perfect. You're choosing to trust that in the midst of those struggles, there's hope, there's peace. There's a plan unfolding, even when you can't see it. Faith doesn't ask you to be fearless. It asks you to be courageous in the face of fear. It doesn't promise that everything will be easy, but it assures you that you are never facing anything alone. We all face moments of uncertainty. We all have times when we feel overwhelmed, unsure, and anxious about what lies ahead. But in those moments, we have a choice. We can let worry take over, or we can choose to lean into faith. Faith doesn't promise that life will be without challenges, but it does promise that you are not alone. And that's enough to let go of the worry and embrace the peace that comes with trusting in something greater than yourself. We all face challenges in life, and no one is exempt from the trials that come our way. Whether it's a personal struggle, a financial hardship, or an unexpected change, we each encounter moments where the weight of the world feels heavy on our shoulders. In these moments, it's easy to feel defeated, overwhelmed, and unsure of how to move forward. But let me tell you something, faith is the anchor that holds you steady when life threatens to pull you under. Faith isn't about pretending that everything is okay when it's not. It isn't about denying the difficulty of the situation or ignoring the pain that you may feel. Faith is about recognizing that even in the midst of your hardest moments, there's a source of strength beyond yourself that you can tap into. Faith is knowing that you don't have to fight every battle alone, that there is someone watching over you, guiding you and providing for you even when you can't see it. The challenge in times of difficulty is often not the situation itself, but how we respond to it. It's easy to fall into despair when things go wrong, to start doubting ourselves and the path we're on. But what if, instead of allowing doubt and fear to take hold, we allowed faith to rise within us? Faith is not about having all the answers, but about trusting that there is a greater plan unfolding, even when we can't see the whole picture. It's about surrendering the need to control every outcome and allowing yourself to rest in the assurance that you are being taken care of. The truth is, there is so much that is beyond our control. We can't control the actions of others. We can't predict the future. And we certainly can't avoid all the hardships that life will inevitably throw our way. But what we can control is how we respond. And faith gives us the power to respond in a way that is grounded, hopeful, and filled with peace. Faith is the belief that no matter how difficult things may seem, there is a purpose to every season of life, and there is something greater at work behind the scenes. Faith allows us to look beyond the immediate pain and see the bigger picture, trusting that things will work out even when we don't understand how or when. When challenges come, worry often follows. We begin to stress about what might happen, what could go wrong, and what we could lose. We try to predict every possible outcome, and in doing so, we find ourselves consumed with anxiety. But worry only drains our energy and clouds our minds. It pulls our focus away from what we can control, the present moment, and keeps us trapped in a cycle of fear and uncertainty. Faith, on the other hand, takes the burden of worry off our shoulders. It doesn't deny the reality of the situation, but it shifts our focus from what we fear to what we believe. Faith allows us to trust that even though we can't control the outcome, we can trust that we will be okay, regardless of what happens. When you choose to respond to difficulty with faith, you're not ignoring the reality of your circumstances, but you are choosing to believe that there is more to the story. Faith tells you that the struggles you're facing right now are not the end, but just a part of your journey. Faith gives you the strength to keep moving forward, even when the road ahead looks uncertain. It's not about having perfect certainty, but about trusting that step by step things will fall into place. Even in the darkest moments, faith shines the light that shows you the way forward. Faith is not just a feeling, it's an action. It's the decision to keep going even when you feel like giving up. It's the decision to trust in the goodness of life even when life feels harsh. It's the decision to keep believing in the possibility of a brighter tomorrow even when today is filled with hardship. Faith is the courage to keep moving forward even when the way seems unclear. It's the knowledge that no matter what happens, you will make it through because you are not alone. You are supported, you are guided, and you are loved even in the moments when it feels like everything is falling apart. Faith doesn't promise that life will be without obstacles. It doesn't promise that things will always go the way we want them to. But it does promise that no matter what comes, you have the strength to face it. It promises that you are not defined by your struggles, but by the faith that rises within you in the face of those struggles. And when you choose faith over fear, You are choosing to be empowered to take each step with courage, knowing that something greater is guiding your path. In the midst of difficulty, faith is what allows you to see beyond the immediate pain and look ahead to what's possible. It helps you to rise above the challenges, knowing that they don't define you. Instead, your faith defines your journey, and it's your faith that will carry you through to the other side. When life gets tough and the world around you feels like it's falling apart, it's easy to start questioning everything. You wonder if you have what it takes to push through, if things will ever get better, or if you're just stuck in a never-ending cycle of hardship. But here's the truth: no matter what you're facing, you have a choice. You have the power to choose how you respond to the difficulties you encounter. And the most powerful choice you can make is to choose faith over fear. Fear is a natural reaction to the unknown. It's that voice in your head telling you that things will never work out, that you're not capable of overcoming the challenges before you. Fear thrives in the darkness of uncertainty, and when we let it take hold of our hearts, it can feel like it's controlling every aspect of our lives. It can paralyze us, keeping us from taking the next step, from moving forward, from believing that better days are ahead. But fear doesn't have the final say. Faith does. Faith is what gives you the strength to keep going even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Faith doesn't ignore the challenges or pretend that everything is fine when it's not. It's the belief that even in the midst of the storm, you are not alone. Faith is the trust that there is a purpose in everything, even in the difficult moments, and that you are being guided towards something greater than you can see right now. Faith is the power to rise above your circumstances, not because they're easy to overcome, but because you know that you're not facing them by yourself. Choosing faith over fear doesn't mean that you won't feel fear. Fear will still come, but the difference is that when you choose faith, you don't let fear control you. You acknowledge it, but you don't let it define you. You understand that fear is a natural part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to dictate your life. Faith allows you to acknowledge fear without giving it the power to stop you from moving forward. Faith is the courage to take the next step, even when you don't know what's waiting for you on the other side. In the face of fear, faith gives you the strength to trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your ability to overcome, and trust that no matter what happens, things will work out the way they're meant to. Trust that even when the path seems unclear, you are being led in the right direction. Faith is the foundation upon which you can build the courage to face whatever comes your way, knowing that you are capable of more than you realize. There's a profound power in choosing to walk by faith. It's not just about believing that things will work out, although that's part of it. It's about believing that no matter how uncertain the future may seem, you are not defined by your circumstances. You are defined by your faith, and your faith will carry you through the toughest of times. When you choose faith over fear, you are choosing to trust in something bigger than yourself, something that has the power to transform your perspective and give you the strength you need to move forward. But how do you make that choice when everything inside you is screaming in fear? How do you choose faith when you're overwhelmed with doubt? It starts with taking a step back and shifting your focus. Instead of focusing on everything that could go wrong, shift your focus to everything that has gone right in your life. Reflect on the times when you faced challenges before and came through stronger on the other side. Remind yourself of the times when you thought there was no way forward, but somehow you found your way. When you focus on what you've already overcome, you begin to realize that you have the strength within you to face whatever comes next. Faith also comes from remembering the bigger picture. It's so easy to get caught up in the moment, to focus solely on the problem in front of you. But when you take a step back and remind yourself that this is just one chapter in your story, it can shift your perspective. Whatever you're facing, it's temporary. It may feel overwhelming right now, but the challenges you're experiencing will eventually pass. And when they do, you will have grown, you will have learned, and you will be stronger because of it. Choosing faith over fear is not a one-time decision, it's a daily practice. It's a choice you have to make every day, sometimes every hour. But with each decision to choose faith, you build resilience. With each step you take in faith, you grow stronger. And with each moment you choose to trust, you let go of the hold that fear has on you. It's important to remember that faith doesn't mean everything will be easy. It doesn't mean that there won't be times when you feel like giving up or when you question whether you can keep going. But it does mean that even in those moments, you are not alone. You are supported by a power greater than yourself, and that power is always with you, even when you can't see it. So when life gets tough, when fear threatens to overwhelm you, remember that you always have a choice. You can choose to let fear control your life, or you can choose to walk by faith. And when you choose faith, you choose to trust that no matter what, you will be okay. All encounter moments when life feels like it's pushing us to the edge. Whether it's an overwhelming challenge, an unexpected turn of events, or the weight of past mistakes, we've all had those moments where it feels like we're drowning in uncertainty and fear. In those moments, it's easy to question everything, our decisions, our abilities, and whether we're even on the right path. But here's the thing, faith doesn't mean everything will always go smoothly. It doesn't mean we won't face hardships or doubts. What faith does is provide us with the assurance that even in the darkest moments, we are not alone, and there is always a way forward. The struggles we face are not meant to break us, even though they may feel overwhelming at times. They are meant to shape us, to push us beyond what we think we're capable of, and to help us discover the strength that lies deep within. When faced with adversity, it's easy to let fear and doubt take over. Fear tells you that you're not strong enough, not capable enough, or that you're far gone to make a change. It whispers lies to your soul, telling you that the challenges before you are insurmountable and that you will never make it through. But the truth is that fear has no power over you unless you give it power. Faith, on the other hand, works differently. Faith is not about denying the reality of the struggle you're in. Faith is not about pretending that everything is okay when it's not. It's about choosing to trust that no matter how impossible things may seem, there is always hope and there is always a way forward. Faith tells you that you are not defined by your current circumstances, but by the strength and resilience within you. It tells you that your worth is not tied to your failures or mistakes, but to your ability to rise, no matter how many times you fall. The journey through difficult times can feel isolating, especially when it seems like no one else understands what you're going through. But faith reminds you that you are never truly alone, even when you feel abandoned, even when it seems like the world has turned its back on you. Faith assures you that you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Faith is the reminder that someone greater than yourself is watching over you, guiding you, and providing for you in ways you cannot always see. It is in these moments when life seems the hardest that faith gives you the strength to keep moving forward. Every challenge we face is an opportunity for growth. It may not feel like it in the moment, but every setback, every disappointment, every difficult season holds the potential for transformation. Challenges push us to reevaluate our goals, our priorities, and what we truly value. They help us to shed old fears, to confront the beliefs that no longer serve us, and to step into a new version of ourselves. Faith enables us to see the bigger picture, even when it's hard to see beyond the pain of the moment. It gives us the vision to recognize that this too shall pass. The struggles we face are not permanent. They are part of a larger journey, one that will eventually bring us to a place of healing, strength, and growth. When faced with hardship, it's easy to focus on the problem at hand, to get consumed by the fear and anxiety that come with uncertainty. But faith challenges us to shift our focus. Instead of fixating on the size of the mountain, faith encourages us to focus on the strength we possess to climb it. It encourages us to focus on what we can control, the way we respond, the attitude we bring, and the faith we choose to hold on to in the midst of it all. Faith doesn't promise an easy road. It doesn't promise that there won't be days when we feel like giving up or when we question whether it's all worth it. But what faith does promise is that we are not alone. It promises that even when we don't have all the answers, there is a divine plan unfolding behind the scenes, and every step we take, no matter how small, is part of that plan. Faith reminds us that every struggle we face is preparing us for something greater, that the pain is not in vain, and that the strength we gain from these experiences will be the very thing that helps us overcome future challenges. One of the most important things faith does is help us let go of the need for control. So much of our anxiety comes from trying to control the outcomes, trying to predict what will happen, or trying to manipulate every situation to our advantage. But the truth is, we cannot control everything. We cannot control other people. We cannot control the future. And we cannot control the twists and turns that life will take. Faith teaches us to let go of the need to control and trust in something greater than ourselves. It's in this surrender that we find true peace. Faith gives us the ability to rise above the chaos and find calm in the storm. It provides us with the inner strength to stand firm. even when the world seems to be falling apart around us. It's in these moments of struggle, when we feel like we've reached our breaking point, that faith reminds us that we are far stronger than we realize. The power of faith lies in the belief that no matter what we're facing, we have everything we need to overcome it. We have the strength, the courage, and the support of a higher power that is always with us. Faith isn't about never feeling fear. It's about trusting that, in spite of that fear, we will find our way through. We live in a world that is full of distractions, challenges, and uncertainties. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of everyday life and forget the importance of staying grounded. Every day we are bombarded with messages telling us to strive for more, do more, achieve more, and be more. These pressures, both external and internal, can sometimes lead us down a path of anxiety, worry, and fear. We find ourselves constantly looking over our shoulders, wondering if we're doing enough, if we're on the right track, or if we're falling behind. It can be exhausting, and it can make us feel like we're never truly at peace. But peace doesn't come from external circumstances. It doesn't come from achieving more, having more. True peace comes from within. It comes from understanding who we are meant to be, and knowing that regardless of what happens in the outside world, we are enough. Peace is the gift of knowing that no matter what challenges we face, we have the strength to rise above them. It is the calm in the middle of the storm, the stillness that allows us to navigate through life with clarity and purpose. In a world that often feels unpredictable, peace is something that we must actively cultivate. It's not something that comes naturally when we're constantly surrounded by noise and chaos. Peace requires intentionality. It requires us to create space in our lives to reflect, to breathe, and to connect with the deeper truths of our existence. This can be a difficult practice in a world that moves at such a fast pace, but it is essential for our well-being. Without peace, it's easy to get lost in the noise of the world, to lose sight of what truly matters, and to become disconnected from ourselves and from the things that bring us joy. One of the most powerful ways to find peace in the midst of chaos is through faith. Faith gives us something to hold on to when everything else feels uncertain. It is the foundation that anchors us when the storms of life threaten to overwhelm us. Faith helps us to see beyond the surface level of our struggles and understand that there is a greater purpose at work. It helps us to trust that even when we can't see the way forward, we are being guided towards something greater than ourselves. Faith doesn't eliminate the challenges or make them disappear, but it provides us with the strength and courage to face them with a calm and steady heart. When we lean into faith, we realize that peace is not dependent on our circumstances. It's not dependent on what's happening around us. It's not dependent on how successful we are or how much we've achieved. True peace is an internal state that comes from knowing that we are loved, that we are enough, and that everything will work out as it's meant to. Faith allows us to let go of the need to control every outcome, to let go of the constant what's next, and to simply trust that the journey is unfolding as a poem. Peace is also found in the present moment. So often we spend our time dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We get caught up in what has already happened or in what might happen, and we forget to fully experience the present. The present moment is where peace lies. It is in the here and now that we can find joy, gratitude, and a sense of calm. When we stop looking back and stop worrying about what's ahead, we can begin to appreciate the beauty of the present moment. This is where faith plays a significant role. Faith teaches us to embrace the now, to be fully present, and to trust that whatever comes, we are equipped to handle it. Another key element of peace is forgiveness. Holding on to resentment, anger, or grudges can eat away at our peace. These negative emotions take up space in our hearts, leaving no room for love, compassion, or understanding. When we forgive, we release ourselves from the weight of those emotions and make space for peace to grow. Forgiveness is not always easy, especially when we've been hurt, but it is one of the most powerful ways to restore our inner peace. It frees us from the past, allowing us to move forward with a heart that is open and ready to receive the good things that life has to offer. True peace is not the absence of problems or challenges, it's the ability to face them with grace, strength, and faith. It's the understanding that no matter what happens, we are capable of handling it. Peace comes when we trust in ourselves, in the process of life, and in the divine plan that is unfolding even when we can't see it. It's the calm assurance that we are being supported, that we are not alone, and that we have everything we need to overcome whatever comes our way. In order to cultivate peace, we must be willing to let go of the things that disturb it. This might mean letting go of the fear, the worry, the doubt, and the need to control. It might mean letting go of toxic relationships, negative self-talk, or unhelpful habits. It means making space for the things that nourish our souls, things like love, gratitude, and faith. It means choosing peace every day, even when it feels hard, even if the world around us seems to be falling apart. And as we make this choice, we find that peace grows within us, becomes a part of who we are, and spills over into every area of our lives. That life is unpredictable, and in the face of uncertainty, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. We all experience moments when everything seems to be spiraling out of control, when our plans don't go the way we imagine, and when the weight of our circumstances threatens to break us. During these times, it can be difficult to find the strength to keep moving forward. But in those very moments of difficulty, we are presented with a powerful opportunity, the opportunity to choose faith over fear. Fear is a natural reaction to the unknown. It's that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you face something unfamiliar or uncertain. It's that inner voice telling you that you're not good enough, that you won't be able to make it through, or that things will only get worse. Fear makes us believe that the worst is inevitable, and it paralyzes us from taking action. It consumes our thoughts, distorts our reality, and keeps us stuck in a cycle of negativity. But here's the truth: fear is not the end of the story. It doesn't have to define our journey, and it certainly doesn't have to control us. Faith, on the other hand, is the antidote to fear. Faith is not the absence of fear, but the courage to face it head on. It's the belief that even in the darkest of times, there is a light shining through. Faith is what gives us the strength to rise up, to keep moving forward, and to trust that things will work out in the end, even if we can't see how. Faith reminds us that we are never alone, and that we are equipped with the tools, the strength, and the resilience to handle whatever comes our way. The journey of life is not always easy. We all encounter obstacles, face setbacks, and experience moments of doubt. But each challenge is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to deepen our faith. When we choose faith over fear, we acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, but we trust that there is a greater plan at work. Faith allows us to surrender control, to release the need to have everything figured out, and to trust that we are being guided toward the best possible outcome. Choosing faith doesn't mean we won't experience fear. It simply means we choose not to let fear dictate our actions. Instead of letting fear control us, we take a step forward with the knowledge that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. Faith gives us the courage to take that step even when we can't see what's on the other side. It's the belief that even when things don't go as planned, we are still moving in the right direction. In the face of fear, faith helps us to focus on what we can control: our response. We can't control the circumstances we find ourselves in, but we can control how we choose to react. Instead of being consumed by fear and anxiety, we can choose to respond with calm, clarity, and trust. Faith allows us to see the bigger picture and understand that even when things seem impossible, there is always a way forward. It's the belief that we are not defined by our struggles, but by the strength and resilience we find in overcoming them. When we choose faith over fear, we shift our perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of viewing setbacks as failures, we recognize them as stepping stones on the path to success. Faith helps us to understand that every challenge is part of a greater plan, and that we are being shaped and molded by our experiences. Faith enables us to embrace the process, knowing that the journey is just as important as the destination. Another important aspect of faith is trust. Faith teaches us to trust in ourselves, in our abilities, and in the process of life. It reminds us that we have the strength to face whatever challenges come our way. Faith encourages us to trust that no matter how difficult things may seem, we will find a way through. It teaches us that even when we can't see the whole picture, we can trust that the pieces will eventually fall into place. Trust is the foundation of faith, and it's what enables us to keep moving forward even when the road ahead is unclear. Faith also gives us the power to persevere. Life is full of ups and downs, and there will always be times when we feel like giving up. But faith reminds us that we are capable of overcoming any obstacle, no matter how insurmountable it may seem. It gives us the strength to keep going, to keep fighting, and to keep believing that things will get better. Faith helps us to endure the tough times, knowing that eventually we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. Choosing faith over fear is not always easy. It requires a willingness to trust, to let go of control, and to face the unknown with courage. But it is in those moments of uncertainty that our faith grows the most. It is in the face of fear that we discover just how strong we truly are. And it is through faith that we find the strength to rise above our challenges and become the person we were always meant to be. So when fear creeps in, when doubt begins to cloud your mind, choose faith. Choose to believe that you are stronger than you think, that you are capable of overcoming whatever comes your way. Trust that even in the midst of uncertainty, you are being guided toward a brighter future. Faith is the key that unlocks the door to possibilities, and when you choose it, you open yourself up to a world of endless opportunities. We all go through tough times in life. These are the moments when everything feels heavy, when the weight of the world seems unbearable, and when it seems like no matter how hard we try, we just can't catch a break. It's in these moments when the road ahead seems unclear and the challenges seem insurmountable that we are given a choice to focus on our fears or to rise above them with faith. Fear is a natural part of the human experience. It's a protective mechanism that keeps us alert and aware of potential dangers. But when fear takes over, it has the potential to paralyze us, to cloud our judgment, and to prevent us from moving forward. There are times in life when fear can seem overwhelming, when it feels as though everything is stacked against us and it's hard to see a way through. Fear can take many forms: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, or even fear of success. It's a force that can creep into our minds, convincing us that we aren't good enough, that we'll never make it, or that we don't deserve happiness or success. But the truth is that fear is often based on nothing more than our own doubts and insecurities. It's an emotion that comes from within, and it is something we can overcome. We may not always be able to control the fear itself, but we can control how we respond to it. When we choose to lean into our faith instead of giving in to fear, we begin to tap into a source of strength that goes beyond our own understanding. Faith is the belief that no matter what happens, we are never alone. It is the conviction that we are not defined by our circumstances and that there is a purpose behind everything that we go through. Faith is the belief that even when the path seems unclear, we are being guided towards something greater than ourselves. It is the understanding that no matter how true things may seem, we are being shaped and molded into the person we are meant to become. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives us the courage to face it. It empowers us to take a step forward, even when we're unsure of where that step will lead. Faith tells us that even in the midst of uncertainty, we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. It gives us the strength to move forward, even when we can't see the entire picture. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting that even when things don't make sense, there is a greater plan at work. It's about trusting that in the end, everything will work out exactly as it should. When we choose faith over fear, we shift our perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, we recognize them as lessons that are preparing us for something greater. Faith helps us to understand that every challenge, no matter how difficult, is part of a larger journey. It's all part of the process that is shaping us into the people we are meant to become. We may not always understand the why behind what we're going through, but faith teaches us to trust that there is a purpose to it all. One of the most powerful things about faith is that it helps us to let go of the need for control. We live in a world where we are constantly trying to control every aspect of our lives. We want to know what's going to happen next. We want to predict the outcome, and we want to make sure everything goes according to plan. But the truth is that we can't control everything. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes things don't go the way we expect. When we hold on too tightly to control, we only create more anxiety and stress for ourselves. Faith teaches us to let go. It teaches us to surrender the need for control and trust that no matter what happens, we are being guided toward the right place. Faith also allows us to find peace in the midst of chaos. When everything around us is falling apart, when the world seems uncertain, faith gives us the calm assurance that we are not alone, that we are being supported, and that we have everything we need to overcome whatever challenges come our way. It's the belief that even when things don't go as planned, there is a bigger picture at work. Faith helps us to find comfort in knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even if we can't always see it in the moment. It is this peace that allows us to keep moving forward with hope, even when the journey is difficult. Choosing faith over fear doesn't mean that we won't face challenges. It doesn't mean that we won't experience hardship or pain. But it does mean that we will have the strength to persevere, the courage to keep going, and the hope to believe that no matter what, we will come out stronger on the other side. Faith helps us to see beyond the fear, beyond the doubt, and beyond the pain. It gives us the courage to move forward with confidence, knowing that we are capable of handling whatever life throws our way. When fear comes knocking, we don't have to answer. We can choose to face it with faith. We can choose to trust that no matter how hard the journey may be, we are never alone. Faith is the key that unlocks the door to the future. And when we choose it, we step into a world of possibilities. Fear may try to hold us back, but faith will always push us forward. And with each step we take, no matter how small, we move closer to becoming the person we were always meant to be. There are moments in life when everything seems to be spinning out of control. The pressures mount, expectations weigh heavy, and the fear of the unknown creeps in, leaving us feeling paralyzed. It's in these moments when we're facing uncertainty, loss, or hardship that we are forced to confront our deepest fears. We wonder how we will make it through, how we will keep going, and whether there is any way to overcome the challenges ahead. But what if, in the midst of all the confusion and fear, we realize that there is something more powerful than our worries? What if we understood that in every moment of difficulty, there is an opportunity to rise, to grow, and to tap into a strength we never knew we had? This strength comes not from our circumstances, but from something deeper within us. It comes from the unwavering belief that we are not defined by the difficulties we face, but by the way we respond to them. It comes from the faith that even when we cannot see a clear way forward, there is a force guiding us, a force that will help us make it through the darkest of times. Faith is not about pretending that the challenges don't exist or that we don't feel fear. Faith is about acknowledging the fear and moving forward anyway. It's the belief that, despite the uncertainty, we are capable of navigating our way through the storm. In the face of fear, faith gives us the courage to keep moving, even when we can't see the whole picture. It helps us to focus on what is within our control, the next step, the next choice, the next moment. We don't have to have everything figured out all at once. Faith tells us that it's okay to take things one step at a time, knowing that each small step brings us closer to the breakthrough we need. It's the assurance that even when we can't see how things will work out, we are moving in the right direction. What's important to remember is that faith is not just a passive belief, but an active force. Faith calls us to take action. It calls us to do what we can even when we feel unsure, and to trust that through our efforts and persistence, the pieces will eventually fall into place. Faith reminds us that we don't have to do it all on our own. We don't have to have all the answers. But we do have to trust in the process and keep moving forward, even when it feels like progress is slow or uncertain. Every small effort we make is an act of faith, and each one brings us closer to the breakthrough we're hoping for. Another powerful aspect of faith is its ability to shift our perspective. When we face challenges, it's easy to become consumed by the weight of our struggles. We can start to see obstacles as insurmountable, setbacks as failures, and doubts as permanent. But faith helps us to reframe our situation. Instead of seeing the storm as a threat, faith allows us to see it as an opportunity to grow stronger. Instead of seeing failure as the end, faith helps us to recognize it as a lesson, a stepping stone on the path to success. With faith, we learn to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation. Faith also teaches us to surrender. It teaches us to let go of the need to control every outcome and to trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This doesn't mean that we don't take responsibility for our actions or that we don't put in the effort. It simply means that we trust in the timing of our lives and in the process of growth. Sometimes things don't go the way we expect, and that can be frustrating. But faith helps us to trust that even in the moments when we don't understand why something is happening, there is a greater plan at work. Faith gives us the courage to release our need for control and to trust that everything will fall into place at the right time. The power of faith lies in its ability to bring peace, even in the midst of chaos. When everything around us feels unstable, faith helps us to stay grounded. It allows us to find stillness in the middle of the storm. When we trust in something bigger than ourselves, we begin to realize that we are not alone. We are supported, guided, and equipped with everything we need to face whatever challenges lie ahead. This peace does not come from external circumstances, but from an inner knowing that we are exactly where we need to be, and that we are capable of overcoming whatever comes our way. Faith helps us to see beyond the present moment. When we're in the midst of struggle, it's easy to get caught up in the pain, the disappointment, and the fear. But faith allows us to lift our eyes to the bigger picture. It helps us to understand that our current struggles are part of a larger story, one that is shaping us and preparing us for the future. Faith gives us the perspective to see that, even in the darkest times, there is something good being cultivated in us. It teaches us that nothing is wasted, that every challenge serves a purpose, and that in the end we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Ultimately, faith is about trust. It's about trusting ourselves, trusting the process, and trusting that we are not alone. It's about believing that no matter what comes our way, we are equipped with the strength, wisdom, and resilience to face it. Faith allows us to move forward with confidence, knowing that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way. When we choose faith over fear, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. We allow ourselves to be guided toward our highest good, and we find the courage to step into the life we are meant to live. There are moments in life when everything seems uncertain, when the weight of the world feels unbearable, and when fear takes hold of our hearts. These are the moments when we feel as if we are standing on the edge, looking down into an abyss, unsure of how to move forward. In times like these, it's easy to become consumed by our fears, overwhelmed by the challenges we face, and convinced that we will never make it through. But in the midst of these dark times, there is a powerful truth that we must remember. We are not alone. In our moments of deepest fear and uncertainty, we have a choice to make. We can choose to let fear control us, or we can choose to rise above it with faith. Faith is the antidote to fear. It doesn't promise that life will be free of difficulties, but it gives us the strength to face those difficulties with courage and hope. Faith is the belief that even when we cannot see the way forward, there is a higher power guiding us, a force that is working in our lives for our good. It is the knowledge that, no matter how dark the night may seem, the dawn is always on the horizon. Faith tells us that even in our moments of weakness, we are stronger than we think, and we are capable of overcoming whatever challenges life throws our way. When we are faced with fear, faith gives us the courage to keep going. It's easy to become paralyzed by the unknown, to be gripped by the anxiety of what might happen next. But faith teaches us to take things one step at a time, to trust that even if we can't see the whole picture, we are still moving in the right direction. Faith doesn't require us to have all the answers. It simply asks us to trust in the process, to believe that everything is unfolding as it should, and that every step we take, no matter how small, brings us closer to the breakthrough we need. In the face of fear, faith reminds us that we don't have to do it all on our own. So often we try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, believing that we have to solve every problem ourselves. But faith teaches us that we are not meant to walk this journey alone. We have support both from within and from those around us. Faith teaches us to lean on others when we are struggling, to ask for help when we need it, and to trust that we are part of a larger community, one that is meant to support and uplift us. When we choose faith over fear, we begin to shift our perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable, we start to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, we recognize them as lessons that are preparing us for something greater. Faith helps us to see that every challenge we face is part of a larger journey, one that is shaping us into the person we are meant to become. It is through the trials that we find our strength, through the setbacks that we discover our resilience, and through the storms that we learn to trust in the calm that follows. Faith also teaches us to surrender. It teaches us to let go of the need for control, to stop trying to force things to happen in our own way and in our own time. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes things don't go the way we expect. But faith teaches us that there is a greater plan at work, one that we may not always understand, but one that is leading us exactly where we need to go. Faith is not about having control over every situation. It's about trusting that even in the moments when things don't go according to plan, we are exactly where we are meant to be. One of the most powerful aspects of faith is its ability to bring peace. When the world around us is chaotic, when everything seems to be falling apart, faith gives us the peace that passes all understanding. It allows us to remain calm, even when everything around us is in turmoil. Faith reminds us that no matter what happens, we are secure in the knowledge that we are being taken care of, that we are being guided towards something better. This peace is not dependent on our circumstances. It comes from knowing that we are not alone, and that in the end, everything will work out exactly as it should. Choosing faith over fear doesn't mean that we will never experience fear again. It doesn't mean that we will always have all the answers or that everything will always go according to plan. But what it does mean is that when fear comes knocking at our door, we don't have to open it. We don't have to let fear control us or dictate our actions. Instead, we can choose to face our fears with faith. We can choose to trust that no matter how difficult things may seem, we have the strength to overcome them. We can choose to believe that even in the darkest times, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Faith empowers us to keep moving forward, to keep believing, and to keep trusting that we are on the right path. It gives us the strength to endure the tough times, the courage to face the unknown, and the hope to believe that no matter how hard the journey may be, we will make it through. When we choose faith over fear, we unlock a power within ourselves that can move mountains, overcome obstacles, and transform our lives. It is through faith that we find the courage to rise above our fears and become the person we were always meant to be. Life is full of uncertainties. We find ourselves in situations where the outcome is unclear, where we face challenges that seem insurmountable, and where fear and doubt creep into our hearts and minds. During these times, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the weight of our circumstances, and we can often feel like we are losing control. The world around us feels chaotic, and we struggle to find our footing. But what if we could learn to navigate these difficult moments differently? What if instead of succumbing to fear, we chose to lean into something greater than ourselves? That something is faith. Faith is not just a religious concept or a fleeting hope in times of trouble. It is a powerful force that can help us move through the toughest moments of our lives. Faith is the belief that there is a greater plan, even when we can't see it, and the understanding that we are never truly alone. No matter how dark the road may seem, faith is the belief that no matter how much we may struggle, we are being guided towards something greater than ourselves. The key to overcoming worry and fear is not to ignore or suppress those feelings, but to face them with faith. It's easy to give in to the weight of our emotions and let fear control us. Fear tells us that we can't do it, that we are not strong enough, that we don't have what it takes to make it through. But faith tells us something different. Faith tells us that we are stronger than we think, that we are more capable than we believe, and that the challenges we face are not the end of the story. Faith encourages us to take that first step, even when we don't know where it will lead, and to trust that each step will bring us closer to that outcome we are meant to experience. There is power in choosing faith over fear. It shifts our mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Instead of focusing on what we lack, faith helps us to see the possibilities that exist even in the face of uncertainty. It opens our eyes to the resources and support that are available to us, and it reminds us that we are not alone on this journey. Faith encourages us to trust in the process, to believe that every step we take, even when it feels small or insignificant, is moving us closer to the life we are meant to live. Faith is also about surrender. It's about recognizing that we don't have control over everything. No matter how hard we try, there are aspects of life that are beyond our influence. We can't control other people's actions, the future, or the outcome of every situation. But what we can control is how we respond. Faith teaches us to let go of the need to control every aspect of our lives and to trust that there is a greater purpose behind everything we experience. When we surrender to the flow of life, we release the need for constant control, and we open ourselves up to receiving the guidance and support we need to move forward. When we choose faith over fear, we begin to understand that every challenge, every setback, and every difficult moment is an opportunity for growth. It's easy to see challenges as obstacles, as roadblocks that stand in our way, but faith helps us to see these challenges in a different light. Instead of seeing them as something to be feared, we begin to view them as opportunities for transformation. Each challenge is an invitation to learn, to grow, and to evolve into a stronger and more resilient version of ourselves. Faith teaches us that nothing is wasted. Every experience, good or bad, contributes to the person we are becoming. One of the most beautiful aspects of faith is that it gives us a peace in the midst of chaos. Life can be unpredictable, and sometimes it feels as if everything is falling apart around us. In those moments, it can be difficult to maintain our sense of calm and clarity. But faith offers us a sense of peace that transcends our circumstances. It's the peace that comes from knowing that no matter how uncertain life may seem, we are being guided towards something greater. It's the peace that comes from trusting that we don't have to have all the answers right now, and that we don't have to have control over everything. Faith gives us the confidence to sit in the unknown and trust that in time everything will unfold as it is meant to. Faith is also about perseverance. Life is full of ups and downs, and there will be times when things don't go as planned. There will be moments when we want to give up, when the challenges feel too great, and when we don't think we have the strength to carry on. but faith gives us the endurance to keep going even when the road is tough. It helps us to push through the pain, to continue moving forward when we feel like quitting. Faith is the driving force that keeps us going, even when the journey feels long and exhausting. It's the belief that no matter how difficult the path may be, we are capable of reaching the destination. When we face worry, anxiety, or fear, faith invites us to let go of those emotions and to trust that, even in the midst of difficulty, we are being carried forward. Faith teaches us to look beyond the present moment and to see the bigger picture. It reminds us that we are part of a larger plan, that our struggles are not in vain, and that in the end we will emerge stronger and wiser because of them. Choosing faith over fear is not a one-time decision, it's a daily practice. It's about choosing to believe even when the evidence suggests otherwise. It's about taking each day as it comes and trusting that no matter what happens, we are always moving towards something greater. Faith helps us to shift our focus from what we can't control to what we can, and in doing so, it empowers us to face the challenges of life with courage, hope, and perseverance. With faith, we are reminded that no matter what we face, we have everything we need to overcome it.